Well, everyone, we have done it. I reviewed every single episode of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and this show has blown my expectations out of the water. I absolutely love this show, and it has a mostly positive reception online. Most of the hate comes from people who have never seen the show or hated it since it got announced. But not me. I'm hyped for season 2. I love this show. It definitely has its flaws, and we will talk about that in this video. But I'm gonna stop yapping and do the intro. Welcome to my media center. My name is Kiefer, and today we rank every episode of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man on a tier list, with F being the worst and S being the best. I will rank each episode in order from worst to best. So let's get into it, starting with episode 4. Hitting the big time. It's in the C category, and it's the only one in the C category. Yeah, this show is not touching anywhere near the bottom of this tier list. Why is it at the bottom? Well, I appreciate the references to other characters in the comics. I was just not a fan of the suit shenanigans in the show. But on the other hand, this episode gave us the Oscorp suit, which I love. For the love of God, it is not the Future Foundation suit. So many people will see this as the show ruining the Future Foundation suit. It's just not that. And also on the other hand, this episode unveiled Dr. Otto Octavius. I really enjoyed the stuff with 110. This episode also showing us it takes place during Civil War. But I just have to be honest, the suit shenanigans dragged down this episode for me. Moving on to B tier. Kicking us off in B tier is episode 1, Amazing Fantasy. This is a great introduction to the show. Big time awesome action, setting us right into this universe. Introducing us to Nico, Pearl, Lonnie. We get possibly the most comic book Spider-Man moment in the show. Spider-Man getting the shop owner to forgive the robber. The recreation of the introduction to Spider-Man in the MCU. That Doctor Strange design, oh my god, it's peak, it's peak. The symbiote getting used in the first episode later in the last episode of the season, creating that semi-paradox of sorts. Also because of this episode, like everyone was convinced that this show was going to make Spider-Man a streamer because of the trailer. Everything about this episode was great. There's just nothing about it to push it to the true upper echelon of this season's episodes. Next up in B tier, episode 2, The Parker Luck. This episode introducing us to the interns, Jean, Asha, and Amadeus. And I guess Whitman. This episode also unveiling Carla Connors. We get the really nice fight with Firestarter starting in the building and into the pet shop, which was amazing. Also at the end of the episode, Spider-Man gets caught by Norman Osborn, revealing his identity to be Peter Parker. Shocking. Also, the shenanigans with the football team was really funny. Again, just nothing to truly push it up to A tier, but a great episode nonetheless. Next up in B tier, episode 5, The Unicorn Unleashed. I hope we get to see more of the Unicorn in season 2. She rules. This is the last episode we get to see Lonnie with the football team. I'm not ready for his villain arc at all. The Peter and Harry banter in this episode is just amazing. Chef's kiss. Team Cap all the way, baby. The gang war between 110th Street Gang and the Scorpions was fantastic. The moment with Lonnie saving Big Don was really nice, earning the gang's respect that night. The battle with the Unicorn and Spider-Man was really good. Just the choreography of the action in the show is one of the best, if not the best, in Spider-Man TV. Am I wrong there? And next up in the B tier, episode 8, Tangled Web. The scene with Dr. Otto Octavius, Doc Ock, and the SWAT team will live rent-free in my head forever. One of the best scenes in the whole show. The action, the comedy, the animation. Holy shit, it all came together to create this perfect, beautiful fight. It's one of my favorite things about the whole show. This is the episode after the fight between Scorpion and Spider-Man. The scene between May and Peter at home was beautiful. I love the scenes between these two in the show. Lonnie and Pearl also break up in this episode after Lonnie chooses the gang over her, and the dialogue in that scene was really nice. Harry also becomes the dude of the desk in this episode, so gotta love it for that. Honestly, this episode is really high up there just because of the SWAT episode. It would be like 1 or 2 entries down, but SWAT scene saves it. And lastly, the last episode for B tier, episode 6, Duel with the Devil. Of course, the fight scene between Daredevil and Spider-Man I think was a little too short, but it was amazing. Plus the talking during it, Daredevil planting the seeds of doubt into Spider-Man's head about Norman. Also the friendship between Nico and Peter getting tested. We also get to see Norman and Thaddeus Ross talking at the gala, potluck, get-together thing for all the rich people, spreading the name of Spider-Man around even more into the government. Hopefully something comes of that in season 2. Also, the trio Harry, Nico, and Peter hanging out. Getting to see them just bond is really nice. I love the slice of life moments in the show. Of course, the unveiling, this is where Nico finds out Spider-Man's identity. And the reveal of the Scorpion suit right at the end. This episode ruled. Almost A tier. But speaking of A tier, let's talk about it. Kicking off A tier is episode 3, Secret Identity Crisis. The aftermath of Norman finding out Peter Parker's secret identity is really nice. You see just how in Peter's head Norman is. The dumpster just climbing the wall, James and Maria getting their weapons. Their fight scene was really, really nice. The banter between them. Also, the lunch scene with Peter Parker once again pulling straight out of the comics, offering Lonnie his lunch. And just the friendship that Lonnie and Peter have in this episode is really nice. Every single thing about this episode is great, apart from what the fuck controllers are Peter and Nico using? What are those? Oh, also Norman pointing out Peter's hypermetabolism. But next up, in A tier, the season finale, episode 10. The season finale was incredible. Spider-Man and Doctor Strange versus the symbiote was an awesome fight. Everyone but Amadeus hating Norman's idea and project. The introduction to the Worldwide Engineering Brigade. Nico empowering Harry with that talk, planting the seeds in his head, and he's like, you know what, I'm rich enough, I can do this. The montage at the end, setting up the seeds for season 2 perfectly. Also, of course, a piece of the symbiote being left in this universe. The black suit art for this show is going to go so hard. I did not give this episode the full S tier, because I do wish this finale played more into the former arcs and storylines of the show that got wrapped up in episode 9. It did feel a little bit just like, hey, look, it's Doctor Strange and the Venom, ooh. But that is ultimately just a minor nitpick. But anyway, on to the last bit of A tier, episode 9, Hero or Menace. This is everything I basically wanted episode 10 to be, but in episode 9 form. Gang warfare featuring Spider-Man, peak. It was phenomenal. Like, what else can I say? Plus, Nico and Peter reuniting their friendship was wholesome and amazing. The fact that Peter and May watch The Bachelor in their free time is such a nice touch. Nico setting up the reveal of her amulet's powers in this episode. The only reason this episode is not S tier is because of the ending that I don't like. I am not a fan of them already trying to give someone else Peter's powers. It would be nice for a modern Spider-Man show to not revolve around every character having spider powers. Not a fan of the ending at all. But it doesn't dock it that many points, obviously. It's still my second favorite episode of the show. What is my number 1 favorite episode of the show? The only S tier. My favorite episode of the show, the best episode of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, episode 7, Scorpion Rising. The Scorpion is the best villain in the show. Straight up top 3 best characters in the show, honestly. Probably goes Peter, Lonnie, Scorpion. Because it is not a coincidence that the Scorpion is the main villain of my 2 favorite episodes. From Nico dodging Peter because of her finding out his secret identity, to Harry and Nico going from frenemies to true friends, and I think a relationship between those two is blossoming for sure. All the scenes with Harry and Nico were fantastic. Pearl finding out about Lonnie's secret, and of course, the battle between Scorpion and Spider-Man. It may be my favorite fight in the show. Spider-Man getting brutalized and beaten to a bloody pulp until Norman finally saves him with the glider. Everything about this episode is perfect. 10 out of 10. There you have it. My rankings for every single episode of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Here is my tier list on screen. Comment your tier list down below. I want to know how you guys feel about my rankings. Give me your rankings. We'll talk about it. I have been Kiefer. Thank you for watching. Click the link in the description. Follow my socials. Follow my Twitch. I stream 3 times a week. Or at least I try to. I have my 100 subscriber special coming out soon, so check that out. However, most importantly, don't forget to stay hydrated.